up, guys? Welcome back to another vlog. Thanks for tuning in. Today's going to be a little bit of a different type of video. As you can tell, it's super rainy, and the rain has came. No more sun. I looked at the weather for this week and it's just 100% rain. But it's okay because it's the perfect timing to do this video. I did a live stream just like a couple days ago, and a lot of people were asking this question, like what was my first car, what was my favorite car, and how many cars have I owned in my life. So right now I am actually gonna go get me some Black Rock because I haven't had Black Rock since high school, and I just want to try some coffee out. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I'll drink coffee today. This video is gonna take me back to like high school days when I didn't have a car, when I really wanted a car, and all the dreams that I had for cars. Even back then I knew I wanted to make YouTube videos. I was just too much of a pussy about it, and I never picked up the camera. But it is safe to say that the day I picked up a camera and started to vlog, started making these videos, when I actually bought my camera and invested into this thing, it definitely changed my life. Whether or not I had subscribers or not, I found a passion that I was really into, and I just loved every single part of it. A lot of people say that the editing sucks, and editing kind of is the shitty part of making videos, but I actually enjoy editing. I love making the videos. I love putting everything together, and it's just awesome. So before I get into the story time, I want you guys to smash that like button. If this video gets to 200 likes, I will do a fatty burnout in this car. So with further inspection, I found out that the right rear tire was a 245, and then the left side was a 275. So two different tire sizes are no-go, but they are good tires. But I've decided that I'm just gonna burn them away, do a fatty burnout, only if this video gets to 200 likes, so make sure you guys smash the like button. So we're in the drive-thru right now at Black Rock. I don't know if you guys have Black Rock in your guys' cities. I know a lot of you guys on the East Coast go to Dunkin' Donuts, but we don't have a Dunkin' around here. So my first car ever was a 1978 BMW 320i. So I actually got this car when I was 15 years old. I didn't have a license. I probably didn't have a permit. I definitely didn't know how to drive stick, but it was a 4-speed manual, and it was the first year ever of BMW 3 Series. I managed to save up 445 bucks. I was on Craigslist in school, doodling around. I found this old piece of crap BMW. It said it didn't even run. I don't even know why I decided to check it out. So I managed to get my friend Nathaniel to come because he knew stick. He actually knew how to work on cars and stuff. So we got there and it was like 10 at night. My mom did not know I was getting this car. She would not have approved me getting a car before I had my license or any of that. So yes, I know it was a very stupid decision, and I do not recommend getting a car before you turn 16 or have your license, just because how this worked out for me was just bad. So after a little bit of fiddling with the car, we managed to get it started. It was like, I can remember, it was the worst startup ever. It was literally like so on the way home, he was driving. He said that it had no brakes. He managed to get it to my house. I fell asleep that day. I kind of knew stick. I didn't really know it like for sure, but I decided to drive it around that day for some stupid reason. I drove it the next day. Oh, I gotta get my coffee. Can I get a medium blended Oreo chiller, whatever that's called? No whip. No whip.
5:37. How's your day going?
It's pretty swell. How about yours? Good.
Just kind of busy.
I feel it.
Running around with my head full off.
Oh, yeah, I feel it. It's that time of year. Yes. Let's see how the coffee is. Oh, it's not how I remembered it. I asked for a medium. It's pretty big. Alright, so where was I? I made it home with the E21 BMW, and I tried to drive it. So yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. I must have messed up the starter or something because I just kept killing it, kept trying to start it. It was just a pain in the butt. So eventually I just parked it in my mom's apartments, and it would just never start for like months. I was saving up money trying to get like a throttle body for it. I remember I just messed up everything, so I got a starter, I got a throttle body. I was trying to just make it just run, and it was just not going anywhere. I turned 16, I got my license, I forgot about the BMW. It was just sitting outside my mom's apartment complex, and I never even looked at it. Every day on the way to school, I was just like, Oh, I was just so disappointed that I got it. My mom didn't even know I had it for such a long time. She eventually found out. I ended up buying this piece of crap Audi. So I got the Audi, and it was just the worst decision of my whole life. So I went to this dealership with $2,000 and never buy an Audi from a dealership. So I get there and he was just a complete scumbag. I didn't realize that at the time. You know, I still had to learn a bunch of stuff about cars. I didn't know a damn bit of nothing. I get to the dealership, it didn't even start. When he did get it to start, it had so many lights on the dash, and somehow he convinced me that every other Audi has lights on the dash, and I bought it. It was so stupid of me. I bought the car, I drove it home, and it was just making the loudest ticking noise the next day. So I took it to Isaac's house, and I didn't know anything about it. All I knew was that it ran. So we took it to his neighbor's house. He's like super into cars and stuff, and he basically told me that the engine was just gone. It was just blown. It was misfiring from like 3 of the cylinders, and it was just so bad. I didn't have any money to fix it. I didn't even have a job. So I couldn't do nothing. I just decided to just keep driving it. I had to go to school. I had to make it to school. So I drove it to school for like a month and a half, I remember. And during that time, the E21 BMW was sitting outside of my mom's apartment. I wanted to fix it. I wanted to get it running again. I wanted to kind of be like a little drift car that I had on the side. But it ended up getting towed, and I didn't register it or anything, obviously, and it just got towed away, and then I never saw it again. But I ended up having to let it go. It really sucks because if I had it now, I'd be able to have the money to make it fix. I'd be able to drift the crap out of it. I'd make it cool. Because it was such a cool car. It was clean title, but it had a different colored door, but the interior was nice. And for a 1978, I remember it was pretty nice. So that car's gone. I'm stuck with the Audi. The car was a piece of crap. It was misfiring horribly, but it ran, and it took me to school, took my friends around, it got me hanging out. It had a Bose sound system, and it sounded sick, and I liked it. And I planned on keeping it for a little bit. But stupid me, I was driving through my friend's apartment. So this is a hilarious story about this car. So I was driving through my friend's apartment complex. In apartment complexes, there's like the garages on the side, and then there's like these hills. They go down like that. And I don't know what was going through my mind, but I thought I could literally jump off the hill. Like as if I could drive off a curb like so fast, or like ollieing off a curb. I feel so stupid for even talking about this. But I floored it trying to go off this little jump, and I just went thinking I was just gonna go flying over, and went and dropped, and my oil pan just dug into the top of the curb, and I just drive more, and it just, the worst noise ever. I remember I was like, what did I do? Everything fell off. My bumper was like pushed up. My license plate fell off because it was zip tied. I didn't even know my oil pan was busted, but later that night, I found out that my oil pan was toast. So I drove it to Kevin's house. I had no place to work on my car. He had a garage. Thank you, Kevin, for letting me work on my car there. Jacked it up, and we found a hole in the oil pan, like literally a hole and a crack. And I was like, what can I do? I have no money. I need to drive this car. So what did we do? We spent the last $10 that I had on a pack of JB Weld. I mixed up all the JB Weld on the license plate. I smeared it from corner to corner to the license plate, and I literally stuck it to the bottom of the oil pan. And we waited there, and I held it there. We waited a couple hours to start it, and we ended up starting it, and it didn't leak. It was crazy. I remember this lady came and literally bought it from me without even looking at it. I met her in her apartment complex, and she literally just gave me $2 grand. I spent, I think, like $2,000, but I had to pay like $500 to register it, which sucked. The lady literally just gave me $2 grand, hopped in the car, and dipped. That was the one time I really felt bad for selling a car that was kind of. It's funny because like a couple months later, she texted me and she was like, ha ha ha, you never told me about the huge hole in the bottom of the engine. And I was like, eh. So with that money, I actually ended up buying a car that I've always wanted, which is a 1992 Mazda Miata. So I got this car for $2,000. It was an amazing car. I got a crazy steal on it. It was from an old man. It had 72,000 original miles. It was just previously salvaged. So somebody rear-ended it and cracked the little back panel and the bumper. Kevin, he actually bought a crazy cow Miata. I'll put a picture of it right here. It was his first Miata. We drove it home. He didn't even know how to drive stick. I drove it home barely knowing how to drive stick, and the head gasket exploded on me on the freeway. So he had this cow Miata sitting in the side of his house that he just didn't do anything with. And cool enough, Kevin decided to sell me the back bumper and the rear little back panel to my Miata. So I basically made my Miata look like it was never crashed, even though it was like spray paint, but it looked super good. So I drove that around, I think like the rest of the senior year. I loved that car. I had it for a while. The catalytic converter actually ended up getting clogged on it, and I had to cut the whole exhaust off. And it was the worst sounding car I ever had. I had to drive it every single day to school, and my mom hated it. Every single day I started it, it literally shook the whole apartment complex. So I had that for a little bit. I actually learned how to kind of drift in it. I learned how to kind of do donuts. Every time I tried to drift it, it just would spin out every single time. So I wanted to get rid of the Miata. It was the end of senior year. I think we graduated, and I was just tired of the Miata. I wanted a 240SX, S13. I found out that I could probably sell the Miata and be able to get one, and then that's when I found out about S14s. So I found this black S14 that was about 2 hours north of my house, and I wanted it so bad. It was perfect. I remember it was $4,000. The guy was firm, and I only had the Miata. So I put the Miata up on Craigslist. Mind you, I got it for $2 grand. I fixed it, but it had 72,000 miles. I put the car up for $4,200, and some guy came and bought that Miata for $4,000. So literally that day, I took that money. Me and Andrew with the NC Miata took that money, drove 2 hours. Thank you for taking me. I paid $4,000 for that S14. It was a manual slick top S14. It had a KA motor, but it was factory manual, which was sick. So this was the real beginning of me getting into drifting and starting my YouTube channel. My first name on YouTube was actually called Swangin' Zenky. If you go really far back in my YouTube, you'll see videos of me having the S14 doing stupid stuff to it. I remember the first thing I did to it was put on Acura TL wheels. I thought they were hot shit. I thought I had some hot boy wheels, but really they looked so bad. So with that car, I learned everything. I learned how to work on a car, I learned how to twist a wrench. It had an open diff, but I ended up buying a J30 VLSD and function informed coilovers. So I got 350Z anniversary wheels for the S14, and that setup was prime. I remember just like driving that thing around. I loved it. I got it completely stock, put it straight pipe, coils, wheels, dropped it, J30, and I learned how to drift in it. I ended up putting it up on Craigslist, and some guy with an automatic kooky 240SX. It wasn't a real kooky, it was a Zenky with a kooky front end, and it was spray painted black. It was super ugly. He messaged me asking me to trade, and I was like, you know what, we can meet up, I'll look at it, if it's cool, I'll trade. So we meet up in the movie theater parking lot right next to my mom's apartment complex, and I remember just like seeing it, and it was automatic, and I was like, no, I'm definitely not trading straight across. So I went home that night. He was texting me. He really wanted the car. He really wanted something 5-speed, and he had a 5-speed transmission to come with the car. I didn't want to trade, but I ended up giving him an offer. I said, if you want to trade, I want the 5-speed transmission, and I want to keep my coilovers and wheels and my exhaust. I decided to trade for the automatic kooky. I drove to his house, we pulled out my coils, we pulled out his suspension, we swapped everything. Automatic, but I knew I wanted to 5-speed swap it. I wanted to learn how to do it. Like I said, it was a horrible matte black color, and I actually ended up buying like $200 wrap, and I swear that thing was like sticker vinyl. It was so bad. I wrapped the car white in the winter, in the snowing winter time. I wrapped this car white, and the wrap turned out like shit. It was so ugly. There was veins everywhere along the car, but from a distance, it was white. So I took that kooky to my first ever drift event. It was a rainy event, and it was awesome. I loved it. I swung it, and I learned so much that day. I learned a lot from that event, and I knew I wanted to drift, but that's actually when I found out that I was having a baby. So me having grown-up thoughts, I decided to post my 240 up, and at the time my YouTube was really small, but I had subscribers. This guy actually messaged me saying, hey, I have this IS300, all it needs is an alignment, trade you for your 240SX. I drove the car to his house, I bought the IS300, and I drove it home. But it was really clean, and it was worth a lot more than the 240. I actually ended up selling it. It had like 103,000 miles, clean title, but it had like a super ugly faded hood. So I actually ended up selling that for way more than I could have got out of the 240. and I was on Craigslist lowballing a bunch of people trying to get a good car for a good deal, and I actually got this super clean IS300 for $3,000 that had 100,000 miles, clean title. I had that for a couple months. I was driving it to work, and actually one of my good friends, Brandon, actually bought that from me. It was just such a boring car. I was just so bored of it. My girlfriend ended up getting a Subaru, and I was like, you know what? We have a good car for the baby. I want to get something cool because I'm not happy with this. So I sold that IS300. I wanted to get back into another 240SX. Searching through Craigslist once again, stumbled across this 1997 original kooky silver moss. It was a crazy rare car. If you go back into my videos, or some people have been subscribed since then, they know how much I love this car. It had wood interior that was original, all OEM. Oh my gosh, dude! This BMW just drifted around the car and almost crashed. Hey, run, gang. What the fuck? He's gonna crash, bro. He's gonna crash. Oh man, dude. If you would have hit me, I'd be a mad mother. Russians, bro, they're freaking crazy. So back to my story. So that car had a crash front end. Stupidly, I thought I'd be able to tube front it. I actually ended up just running out of money and I couldn't tube front it. I saved up more money and I ended up buying a 1998 Cobalt S14. The car was automatic and I got it for a steal. I got the car for $4,000 from the original owner. Like I said, it was automatic, but I did have the silver moss still sitting on the side of my house. I pulled off all the wood interior, the whole interior, and I put it in the Cobalt. I actually ended up buying another set of anniversary wheels for that car because I just loved the way that looked. I loved my first setup on my first Zenki and I decided to take it to the Cobalt. I 5-speed swapped the silver moss 240, the crash one, and I actually pulled out the whole 5-speed swap out of that car and just put it onto the Cobalt. I slammed it, I put wheels on it, had a Blitz exhaust on it. It was just sick. I remember driving that around and oh my gosh, that was like my favorite car ever, I think. And I completely love that car. So after I 5-speed swapped it, I didn't even brake in the clutch. I took it to a drift event. It was actually a dry day, and the clutch was just slipping every time I tried to drift it. Such a pain in the ass, I know. But stupidly, I decided to post that up on Craigslist. I just have a thing where one problem, I put it up on Craigslist and I tell all my friends, I'm like, you know, if somebody offers this much money for it, I'll sell it. And that's when I met my friend Sam. He actually ended up calling me. He's like, yo man, I'm about to sell my street bike. I'll buy the car with the coils and wheels. You wanted $7,500, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, if you can meet up today, I'll give you $7,600 for the car. And I was sitting there like, wow, this guy actually wants to pay me $7,600 for a car that I got for $4,000 and I 5-speed swapped. So he bought it. He came and he paid $7,600 for it. I remember looking at all that money and I was like, holy shit. I never thought I'd be able to get this much money out of a 240, a stock 240. I still had the shell on the side of my house, the silver moss. I ended up selling that one to some guy and I had a bunch of money saved up and I finally wanted to pull the trigger on a 350Z. So me and Magnus flew to California, the first time ever flying to California, and I bought the red 350Z from an old lady, which was awesome. I loved this car so much. I drove it all the way back from California. As soon as I got home, the clutch was just fried. I had to do a clutch on the car. I remember I did a stage 2 carbon Kevlar clutch and it felt amazing. I didn't want to drift it. I just wanted to make it perfect. I just wanted to just drive it around. I was just so proud of it. I remember just like, I finally have a 350Z. It's been my dream car forever. I never thought I'd be able to own one. They were just always so expensive. Insurance was just so much for them, but I really wanted it and I finally had it and I was just so proud of myself. Ended up going on Craigslist, searching 350Z because I'm just always looking up. I was just trying to find some parts or something. I don't know what I was looking up, but I ended up stumbling across this 2003 350Z with 25,000 original miles. Posted the red 350Z up and I sold it. I remember it sold so fast. Some kid bought it that didn't even know how to drive stick, and then after he got it home, he was like threatening to sue me and stuff because it had an oil leak and a check engine light came on. Like literally, it didn't have a check engine light and he didn't know how to drive stick. And then he texted me saying that he's gonna get a lawyer to sue me because of a check engine light. So kid, if you're watching this, bango. So with all the money that I got from the red Z, I picked up the silver 350Z with 25,000 miles. Mind you, that weekend that I bought that car was the same weekend my son was born. I knew I didn't want to keep it. I knew that the price I got it for was like a ridiculously low price. I think I paid $6,500 for a 350Z with 25,000 original miles. Literally posted it up on Craigslist for $8,600, I think, and a police officer bought my car. So he comes and he says that he's getting it for his son. He was just checking out a Scion FRS and it was a piece of crap, and he just saw my 350Z. It had such low miles and he literally cashed me out for the car, $8,600. So the weekend my son was born, in 2 days I made $2 grand off of just picking up a car and selling it. So here I am, sold the Z. I had the most money I ever had in my life. I knew what I wanted. I wanted another Z, and that's when I found out that there's HRs. If you don't know what an HR is, there's 2 models of 350Zs. There's actually there's 3. So 03 to 05 is DE, single intake. The 05 and 06 is the rev up version, which is like a DE, but it just revs a little higher. I don't know, but I know they burn a lot of oil. I never had one, but I know they burn a lot of oil. And then the last 2 years of 350Z, 07 and 08, are HR models. So it's a whole different engine and transmission. It has a CD009, it has a slightly different interior, and it has the cool bump up hood, and it also has the engine that has 2 intakes coming out the sides. At the time, I didn't think that these were a lot faster than DEs, because everybody with a DE thinks that HRs aren't faster. So I ended up driving up to Seattle. I bought this navy blue HR 350Z. It was a 2007. I remember driving that car home from Seattle and being like, wow. Like, I mind you that I just had a 350Z that had 25,000 miles. So it was as fast as a stock Z could get. The HR was substantially faster. Like, literally, when I drove it home, I was like, wow, this is way faster than DE. So I ended up falling in love with that car. I popped in a welded diff into that car. I took it to my first drift event with the 350Z. I ended up linking the whole track. That's when I really feel like I got into drifting and I actually started learning. So with that car, I was just drifting everywhere. I knew I was gonna get into trouble, and I ended up stupidly selling it. I didn't make any money off that car. I sold it for as much as I got it for, but the only reason I sold it was because my good friend Nick Lim, shout out Nick Lim, he's awesome. Me and him are going to be making a bunch of new videos soon. He has an Audi that has like 450 horsepower, and he's about to get, hopefully he gets a 370Z. I gave him a ride in mine and he was stoked. But during high school, he had a 03 350Z. I don't know how many miles he got it at, but it was super, super low miles. He actually ended up getting T-boned in that car, and he offered to sell it to me for $3,000. And it was a deal I could not pass up. It was a 03 350Z with like 45,000 miles for $3,000. Then I sold the HR, I bought that blue Z, and I was like, oh, I'm on top of the world. I got a cheap 350Z. All I had to do was replace the door. There was a little bit of quarter panel damage, but it was supposed to be a salvage title, and then after I registered it, the title came back clean. I was so surprised. I was like, wow, this car's clean title. I can make a lot more money off this. So I popped in the HR welded diff that I had. I took it to a drift event. I drifted the crap out of it. I remember being so YOLO at that event. I was just throwing the Z, just being like, this thing, dude, just sending it as hard as I could. I ended up smashing into a barrier, messed up this quarter panel, messed up that quarter panel, and again, I put that up on Craigslist, and I knew that since I got it for $3 grand, I would always be able to make money off of it. Even if it had both quarter panels crunched in, I would still be able to make some sort of money off of it. I ended up selling that car for, I think, $4,500. So after drifting on it, beating on it, crunching in the QPs, I still made like $1,500. And the guy who actually ended up buying that car actually crashed it. That's when my YouTube started really popping off. So I had the Blue Z, and I was on Copart. It's the first time I ever started getting into Copart, and that is when I bought the $650 350Z, and that's what really boosted my YouTube. And I remember I was struggling to try to get to 500 subs. I was like, 500 subs by the end of this year, oh, this is gonna be so sick. I just want 500 subs, 500 people watching me, this is insane. I bought that $650 350Z, and it was literally like night and day. I posted that video, and I remember the next day I woke up and I had like 800 subs, and I was like, what? I have 800 subs. I'm about to hit 1,000 subs. I remember almost wanting to cry. Like, I didn't even want it to pop off. I just wanted to make videos, have a couple people comment, you know, like every time somebody commented, I would read it and I would respond and I would be like, thank you so much for watching my videos, man. And I remember that week was the week my life literally changed. I went from begging to get 500 subs by the end of the year to getting 5,000 subs in a week. And every single day I was just looking at my phone to hundreds of comments, thousands of views on the videos. It got like 100,000 views in a week. And I remember just tripping out. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to keep this Z. And if you guys know, I did a lot to that Z. I wanted to keep it so bad. Everything in me wanted to keep it. I ended up paying to take it to a shop to get a whole tube front end to make it just a crazy drift missile. And a lot of you guys subscribed since then. You guys know that the shop couldn't do the tube front end because it was actually too messed up. They suggested me doing a whole front clip, which would mean it would cut off from like right here from the windshield and get a whole front end from a different 350Z. And I was like, nah, man, like the price for that would have been so expensive. It wouldn't have been the same vision. It was so sad to see that go. I got the car for $650, but I remember I put in like $1,500 total, like with the $650 to get it where it was. I got a new fender, I got a bunch of stuff to make the engine run, and I ended up trading it for the right-hand drive piece of crap 240. So that car I thought I was going to be able to take to events. I actually had it on the side of my house and I hated it. I remember driving by it and being like, dude, that thing stinks. I don't even want anything to do with it. I posted that up and I actually ended up getting like 2,400 bucks out of it, which is crazy. Everybody was pissed off of me on the YouTube and I apologize for that, but there was literally nothing I could have done with the 350Z. I had to get rid of it and that was my best bet, trading it for a running and driving right-hand drive 240. Like I said, that 240 was a piece of crap. Got rid of that. I ended up getting the NB Miata. I wrapped it red. I sold that. I didn't make any money off of it. I bought the LS 430. I sold that. Didn't make any money off of it. But that's when I was trying to sell everything because I wanted to make it to the first drift event of the year, Villain Sportsland. I talk about it all the time. It's a crazy drift event in Walla Walla. I bought a lifetime membership for it. So I ended up selling everything and spending every dollar on my first black 370Z. I love that car so much, but it was a piece of crap and it was riced out. But I can safely say it did take me 4 hours to the drift event, drifted for 3 days straight, and it drove home and it had no problems. I did mess it up a little bit. I cracked the taillight, I broke the rear bumper, and I remember I bought that car for 8,500 bucks, and with me messing it up and everything, I remember I sold it for 7,500 bucks. That's after I found out that the engine mount was broken and the engine was literally falling on itself. The transmission was pinned up against the trans tunnel and it was all bad, but I ended up selling it. I lost $1,000. Who cares? I sold that black 370 because I saw another 370 on Copart. The 370 on Copart was mint. All it needed was a bumper. It had no frame damage like the one I had before, and it had 46,000 miles. I remember it was like a 2012 and it had all orange interior, no blown airbag or anything. And I sold the 370 thinking that I would win that in the auction. That actually ended up going to like $8,000 somebody bought that for. So I didn't win the 370 that I wanted. I had all this money for the 370 and I was like, what do I do? Like I explained, when I got this car, I impulse ordered the Skyline. I always wanted an R32. I thought it was a good idea to be able to get something like that, have a 4-door car that I could take around the kid in. But then after I got it, after I slammed it, after I 5-speed swapped it, I realized that, you know, this car has no power. If I wanted to drift it or do anything with it, I would have to dump in a bunch of money. My stupid camera died, so I gotta film the rest of this on my phone, which kind of sucks because my phone camera sucks. I got an old phone. A bunch of money to squeeze power out of that thing, and even after I put in a bunch of money, it would still be super unreliable. As you guys know, I ended up selling that car, and here we are. We got the 370 and I love this car. Selling this has passed my mind. Obviously I got it for such a crazy deal. I could always make money off of it, but I'm gonna stick to my word and I'm gonna keep this car, build it to exactly how I want it to. Camera just turned back on, but peace out guys. Hope you guys like this video. Subscribe if you guys haven't subscribed. Like this video. Like I said, if it hits 200 likes, I'm gonna do a fatty burnout in this car to burn the rest of the tires in the next video. Stay positive, stay motivated. Peace out.